All right, just south of downtown, we've got a crash blocking the left two lanes of 440 eastbound at the Granny White Pike overpass. This is going to be before you get to 65. Then in Franklin, we're still dealing with that overturned semi, 65 northbound right before Cool Springs Boulevard, but the delay is not as long. It's only a 13-minute delay now. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive for this Thursday, November 14th. Man, we got stuff happening. I mean, this is the time of day where we start to get these announcements out of Mar-a-Lago about who's going to be serving on Donald Trump's cabinet. And if you've missed it, it has not been officially announced by the president-elect, but it clearly is probably not coming from nowhere. Fox News reporting that he will tap RFK Jr. as his Secretary of Home, HHS, Health, what is it, Health?
Health and Human Services.
Thank you. You think I would remember that. Health and Human Services, which, that's going to be an interesting pick. I mean, there's a lot of interesting picks that he's made. And I think that we'll wait to see if we get an official announcement of that and what else comes out of Mar-a-Lago this afternoon. But one that is no doubt garnering a lot of attention is the nomination of Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General of these United States. I mean, Jake Tapper was left almost speechless.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and let me begin the show by uttering some words that I never contemplated using together before, and those words are U.S. Attorney General Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, I mean, the left is losing its ever-loving mind over this nomination. But Carolyn Levitt says, look, it's a serious nomination, and she says, speaking on behalf of the transition team, the president is very serious about getting this one approved.
9 days ago, President Trump received a resounding mandate from the American people, a once-in-a-generation mandate for change. Throughout this entire campaign, the American people made it clear they were sick and tired of the status quo from the Harris-Biden administration. They wanted a new direction for this country, and they chose President Trump to put America first. He has rolled out 16 fantastic picks over the past 9 days, and Matt Gaetz is one of those picks. I know Matt personally. He is a great person. He's a man of integrity. He also is a brilliant litigator. He served on the House Judiciary Committee for 8 years. Anyone who has watched him in those hearings knows that he's incredibly impressive. And like President Trump, Matt Gaetz has been a victim of the weaponized Department of Justice. And one of the promises President Trump made to the American people was to root out the corruption at the DOJ. We have seen this agency turn against the American people because of their political beliefs. Matt Gaetz and President Trump are going to put an end to that, and that's what the American people want. That's why they elected him.
Well, there you go. So they're going to push for it, and that's great. I mean, the president is entitled to nominate whoever he wants. There is this constitutional responsibility, Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, which says that the Senate must provide its advice and consent. And sometimes the Senate withholds that consent, and the nomination does not go through. And in a Republican-controlled Senate now, 53-47, there are at least two now members of the Senate who are expressing concern openly. One of them, very predictably, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine.
I don't think it's a serious nomination for the Attorney General. We need to have a serious Attorney General, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to consider somebody that is serious. This one was not on my bingo card.
I was shocked that he has been nominated. If the nomination proceeds, I'm sure that there will be an extensive background check by the FBI and public hearings and a lot of questions.
Now, Gaetz was the subject of a House Ethics Committee. What many people don't know is the House Ethics Committee is one of the more unusual committees on all of Capitol Hill. It's like the Senate and House Intelligence Committee in that equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans, right? And equal numbers on the Ethics Committee as well. And so they look at these matters. Now, there was about to be a report released about him. And it was, apparently from what I'm beginning to read, the release of that report was imminent into an investigation that the House Ethics Committee had conducted. I think out of courtesy, he probably knew a little bit about what was going to be on that, but who knows? It doesn't matter because it will now not be public because he has resigned from Congress. He did so yesterday, submitting a letter that was read on the House floor by the House clerk. So what's in that? I don't know. Will it come up in the confirmation hearing? Anything is possible. It's not supposed to, but it could. I'll tell you somebody who's out there saying that he will fight for Gaetz is Tennessee Senator Haggerty, who says that, look, the thing about it is that the president ought to have a chance. And he thinks that Gaetz is an inspired choice.
So what is your reaction to Matt Gaetz as Attorney General?
By the way, I should mention this is with Andrea Mitchell. There aren't many people that I actively dislike, but she's one of them. And she's over on MSNBC, and Haggerty goes on there and goes round and round with her about it.
Right now, would you support him?
Listen, Andrea, it's amazing to me that people are reacting the way they are, what you just showed, because there has been no one better at channeling the American public's frustration with the weaponization of the Department of Justice than Matt Gaetz. You can understand the president's frustration with the DOJ. During his campaign, during his first campaign, they used a fake Clinton dossier to spy on him. Look at what happened in the first Trump administration. This whole fake Russiagate hoax, the DOJ investigated him for years doing that. In 2020, the DOJ went to big tech and had them censor Hunter Biden's laptop to throw the election toward Joe Biden. And if you think about what just happened in 2024, the DOJ, their colleagues around the country, they brought 5 different cases to try President Biden's top opponent, President Trump. I can understand his frustration in wanting to put an agent of change in place. I'm not surprised at all.
Well, I don't want to litigate all that happened with Donald Trump because there's a lot of evidence to support many of the allegations. And in fact, the indictments, Mar-a-Lago, the sloppy intelligence handling.
Andrew, I think the American public spoke louder than anybody. They gave him the strongest mandate we've seen in 36 years in reaction to all of this.
But a Trump-appointed judge cut all of that off, and it wasn't fully vetted. So let's just talk about that. Was the legal system at work, no question. And
it was not working. It was weaponized.
Well, what about this nominee?
As I said, this nominee has actually been an outspoken
has a record
critic.
himself, but he's been an outspoken critic. But what about his personal record? There are questions about him. He was on the House floor sharing photos of women, bragging about his sexual exploits, about the medication that he used, the drugs that he used. The ethics investigation has not been released yet. It's been cut off. It was supposed to be voted on tomorrow, but his resignation has aborted that. But what about all of the questions and the allegations against him? His co-conspirator and his friend is serving an 11-year jail term for the sex trafficking. I mean, there was plenty to investigate there.
Andrea, you said it yourself, these are allegations. It's amazing that you're more upset about allegations than you are about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. The American public has completely lost faith in the DOJ. Think about it. The DOJ sending their agents to spy on parents who go to, the school board meetings. It's just amazing. As the American public has seen all of this, they see somebody like Matt Gaetz who's willing to stand up and call it wrong, and President Trump's willing to put somebody in place that will change all of this.
Well, there you go. A little sample of that interview. It's a much longer interview, which I will run later in this program because, then Andrew Mitchell starts to ask him about, well, will he serve in an administration, a Trump administration? And he keeps batting away the question and doesn't want to say it. But, who knows? In the next few minutes, we could well have that announcement. I mean, I think if anything is left open for Haggerty, it would be Secretary of Treasury. But getting back to Gaetz, Senator Lindsey Graham, this is from Newsmax. Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina, said his Republican colleagues should give former Representative Matt Gaetz a chance after President-elect Donald Trump selected him to be Attorney General. We're going to give the president a chance to put his people forward. To every Republican, give Matt a chance, Graham said in an interview Wednesday. I say elections have consequences when Republicans don't like it, and I'm telling my Democrat friends elections have consequences whether you like it or not. Gaetz' surprise resignation on the House also ends, as they say here, the House Ethics Committee investigation, which began in April of 21 over allegations the congressman engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, accepted improper gifts, and sought to obstruct the government investigation into his behavior. Now, that is an investigation. Those are allegations. And we will never know exactly what was going to happen, because by withdrawing his membership from the House of Representatives, by stepping down yesterday, that essentially closes the investigation. But the files are there, and it's Washington. Democrats have reached out and said, you maintain those files, and said we may want to look at them. I don't know how that's going to work out, given the House and Senate. Separation of the House and Senate is always the way it's supposed to be. But we'll see what happens. I can tell you, though, if it leaked out, I would not be shocked. And so we'll see exactly what happens with that regard. So here's another story from the Washington Examiner. Again, these are all, I'm talking very conservative organizations or publications. Key Senate Republicans are warning that the controversial nomination, which sent shockwaves through Washington, is unlikely to sail through their GOP-controlled chamber next year, at least not without first seeing as yet to be published House Ethics Committee report into Gaetz over allegations of sex trafficking and sex with a minor. I think there should not be any limitations on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, said Senator John Cornyn, a member of the Senate's Judiciary panel, which will be charged with holding Gaetz's confirmation hearings. The firebrand Republican's abrupt resignation from the House on Wednesday may have allowed him to quash the report's imminent unveiling, since Gaetz is no longer a member of Congress, though it was unclear whether House ethics lawmakers could still vote to release it or provide it to the Senate. Judiciary Committee Chairman currently, Dick Durbin, you know my feelings about that guy, demanded Thursday that it be preserved by the House and shared with his committee, as well as all relevant documentation on Mr. Gaetz. So that is the, sort of the read on where things are with regard to Matt Gaetz. In my personal opinion, I'm not agitating for a position here. In other words, what I'm saying is I think the president has the right to nominate everybody he wants, and I think that those confirmation hearings should be held, and it looks like they will be. But what I will tell you is, having covered some really contentious confirmation hearings over the past of my career, I've probably covered, more than 100 confirmation hearings. So I know a little bit of what I speak. And some of them have been real doozies. I remember going way, way, way back to John Tower and the fight over him. I mean, and I was there for Clarence Thomas, and I was there for all of that. Those are different kinds of confirmation hearings. But, confirmation battles, I got a lot of experience, and it is my professional judgment Not that I agree or disagree, but it's my professional judgment that this probably will not get through. The confirmation will not go through. So, what was Trump's purpose in doing? I think he likes Matt Gaetz. I agree. I think he thinks Matt Gaetz is the guy to go in there into that viper's den that we call the Department of Justice, and I think he feels like that's a guy who could tear him up and chew him up and spit him out. And, just him arriving will probably cause a lot of people to resign, and you know what? That wouldn't be a horrible thing either. Get rid of him and start over. So, look, will it go through? My sense of it is probably not. We'll see what happens. Again, Donald Trump has defied expectations before. Maybe he can get this one through. But one way or the other, it is absolutely causing the left to melt down, and I sort of love that. It's absolutely causing the media to have a hissy fit, and I just adore that. And it is definitely one that takes heat away from some of the other nominations, and I think that's probably, maybe by design. So we'll be watching it very closely, but one way or the other, this is going to be one to watch, and it's going to be very, very entertaining. I mean, Gaetz himself is quite capable in his ability to defend himself. He's quite good in that regard. So we'll see what happens in that one. And by the way, if you have a strong feeling about this, I just want to give you a heads up. This is Thursday, and I'm not doing Fridays anymore. So we're going to have a Phone Your Farb Thursday today, and that will be coming up after the news at the bottom of the hour. So if you have some thoughts about this particular case and you want to weigh in, this would be a great time for you to do it. Right now, let's call it 21 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
President-elect Trump confirms he wants RFK Jr. as the next Secretary of Health and Human Services under his administration, and state lawmakers filing legislation to give non-U.S. citizens driver's licenses. I'll tell you about it at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And as we predicted a few moments ago, the announcement about RFK Jr. has been confirmed by the president himself in the last few moments on Truth Social, that he will pick RFK Jr. To be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS. So there, this is fun to watch. I mean, this is gonna. I mean, the whole, it seems, purpose of this administration, I think, quite frankly, is to go in there and just upend the apple cart.
Yeah.
Just tear it apart. And you know what? Maybe that's what we need. I don't have any argument with that. It's just so irretrievably broken that maybe we need people like RFK to go in there. Maybe we need people like Matt Gaetz to go in there and just tear it limb from limb and build it over again. And, the attorney general, the one thing that I've always said about attorneys general is that, I think the job of the attorney general is to be an attorney general for the United States and not necessarily the attorney general of a specific president. The presidents have their own attorneys. They're called White House counsel, and they look out for the interest of the White House. But I would say that we need an attorney general that really looks out for the interest of the American people. And but one way or the other, and then you got Elon and Vivek ready to tear things apart, go through every jot and tittle, line item of the government budget, and start to shutting things down. They don't actually have the power to shut them down, but they can make recommendations to the president, and the president can. So that'll be interesting to see how that all goes. I like it. It is really going to be fun to watch. I'm telling you, from the sidelines, it's going to be fascinating. So there's all that. It is, as I say, 20 minutes past the hour. We got Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Hello, Ken. Busy news day already for you.
Very fluid, Brother Brian. Very fluid.
It's fluid. You know what that means. Anything can happen.
Yep.
It's changing moment by moment.
It's coming in left and right. And, who knows what else President-elect Trump is going to drop on us today.
Well, we get about 2 or 3 a day, don't we, generally?
It's been about 3 a day.
Yeah.
So maybe he holds to that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that'd be great. So hang in there, everybody. I just want to say that, a lot of people sort of, we're through the election. Now, I can sort of, check out. Don't check out. This is where it gets good. Mm-hmm. This is where you see exactly how things are going to be going forward. This is an incredibly crucial time to pay attention in this whole transition time. 2 things: watch what the new incoming administration is proposing, and then look very closely, very, very closely at what the lame duck administration is going to try to pull on you. And one of the things I think that the Democrats in the Senate are going to try to do, and the Biden administration is going to try to do, is ram through a lot of judges in the last few days, so we need to watch that one. And by the way, there's Chris Webber in the control room.
Hello. Brother Chris.
Yeah. So, listen, again, as you know, under my recent announcement that I'm pulling back from full-time broadcasting in December 24th, my last show, and keeping with that, one of the other things that we're doing is that I'm not working on Mondays and Fridays, and Matt Murphy's going to be filling in on those days. And so, because we won't be here tomorrow, well, we're not gonna pass up the opportunity to hear from you. We'll have not 1, but 2 exciting rounds of Phone Your FARB, well, in this case, Thursday.
That doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't have the same.
But we'll make do.
Yeah, it really had alliteration before, but not any longer. Phone Your FARB Thursday coming up after the news, which is starting right now.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Election 2024, President-elect Trump confirming RFK Jr. is his choice for the next United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. Trump posting to Truth Social, the safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role, he says, and helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to what he calls the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Right now in Middle Tennessee, the suspect who barricaded himself in a home in Sumner County is in custody. The sheriff says they responded to a domestic call at a home north of Gallatin this morning, and a woman was able to get out safely, but the suspect stayed inside and was believed to be armed. Again, he is now in custody. And in Tennessee, state lawmakers filing legislation that would give non-U.S. citizens driver's licenses. But these licenses will be different from what U.S. citizens get. Immigration rights advocates telling Channel 4 it's going to make immigrants feel like they don't belong and open the door to harassment by law enforcement.
It's confusing sometimes for law enforcement. It's confusing for employers who are hiring people with different immigration statuses, and it's confusing for the immigrants themselves.
Now, this bill was filed earlier this week, and you are being asked to help the FBI identify and find a man they think has vital information about a child sex abuse victim, which is part of an ongoing investigation. We've posted an image of this man to our social media and ways to report any information you might have on this man. He is white, 45 to 65 years old. He's bald with a dark goatee, and he's got tattoos on his chest and arms. The word Dabby on the right side of his chest, 197, followed by something else, maybe words on his left bicep, and additional tattoos on his left and right forearms. Anyone with information to provide should submit a tip online to tips.fbi.gov or call the FBI's toll-free tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right now in Franklin, 65 northbound, the on-ramp from McEwen Drive is blocked due to the cleanup of a traffic accident that was 65 northbound before Cool Springs Boulevard. Now, that was an overturned vehicle with the right two lanes blocked, and right now we still have a 12-minute delay there. Then back here close to downtown Nashville, we've got a crash blocking the right shoulder 440 eastbound just before you get to 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Say, are the relatives coming to your house for Thanksgiving? Let Busy Bee help by ensuring your home is in-law and relative ready. Busy Bee has a limited number of Sear 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential unit replacements only. $6,995 includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency, performance, and year-round comfort for residential unit replacements. How about $750 off an upright tanked water heater with circulation kit, or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? And at whatever level you buy, they'll upgrade you to the next level for free. For example, you buy the middle tier package, they automatically upgrade you to the premium air duct cleaning. And finally, give free Beehive membership to your in-laws. You must currently have a Beehive membership to qualify for the additional Beehive membership for your in-laws. Busy Bee is bringing families together during this holiday season. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee, HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. And again, we're doing something a little different on this Thursday since I won't be here tomorrow. It's time for a little thing we like to call, well, today we'll call it Phone Your Farb Thursday. That's right. What's on your mind? 615-737-9986. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet, a burr in your saddle. Maybe you got a bug in a place where I hope you never, ever have a bug. Because if you do, it's unpleasant. But one way or the other, climb on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries, because this is indeed a family show. We got a lot of people stacked up, ready to go. They're just itching to get their ideas across, so let's get started. Jeff in Thompson Station. Let's start with you. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for taking my call. I know when it comes to Trump's selections, I don't know everything about every single one of them, but it does feel like the more the media tend to scream and cry and the louder it is, and the Democrats are more and more and more upset, I feel like that is the perfect person to be in that spot and be a part of this administration going forward.
I'm telling you, I mean, if the more they scream and holler, the better you like it, huh?
Absolutely, because as you notice, there's no one screaming about Thune leading the Senate, so that's going to make me a little nervous also.
Well, we'll see what Thune does. You know, he's hurting. You know, that job is, you know, people always look at the leadership. It's a job that's sort of like herding cats. And, you know, you've got in the Senate, you'll have 53 individuals. The Senate the senators look at themselves as individuals, and they don't have to worry, many of them, about having to run for re-election anytime soon, since they serve 6-year terms. Many of them, it's only 1/3 of the Senate up every 2 years, so the other 2/3 can sort of have a little of independence, and so they do. Sometimes they just don't care if they hack off people back home. So it's a tough job trying to get everybody to pull together in the harness in the same direction. Thune is a good man. I mean, I know him a little, and I covered him in Cornyn, and I know Rick Scott as well, who was up for that job. And I think Thune, hold your fire on Thune until we have a reason to doubt him. But that's just my thought. Michael, out on the road. What do you say, Michael? You're up next on the drive.
Hey, Brian, thanks for taking my call. I agree with you that I don't think Matt Gaetz will get confirmed because he has no prosecutorial experience. But I think this was a brilliant move by Trump for maybe different reasons than many folks. But A, he rewarded Gaetz for his loyalty, which is very important to Trump.
Right. Mm-hmm.
B, it provided Gaetz with legitimate cover to resign from the House and block the release of the ethics report.
Yeah, I agree with you on both those points. What's your last point?
Third, it gets Gaetz out of Speaker Johnson's hair, because if there's one member of the House that would have objected to changing the threshold for removing the Speaker, it would have been Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, you may be right. I think those are all extremely valid points. Very solid analysis there, Michael. I agree 1,000% with everything you've said. Let's if somebody else wants to talk about, let's go down to Anthony in Murfreesboro. Anthony on Murfreesboro also wants to talk about Matt Gaetz. Good afternoon, Anthony.
How you doing, Brian? Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Hey, just like the caller just said beforehand, I think it was a ruse, right? I think that Trump is always playing chess. And if you could think of anybody that could, put out like a fear of retribution on the Dems, you bring in somebody like Matt Gaetz. But I don't think he thinks that he's even going to get confirmed. And honestly, I think he's going to wind up being in maybe his White House counsel or something like that. But on a side note, I think we actually got to give John Fetterman a little bit of credit, man. Somebody comes in like Quasimodo, he's actually got some game as a senator. Who would have thought that, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. But thank you so much for the call. I think, I don't know that he'll make it all the way through confirmation. But, what's wrong with rattling a few cages along the way? I mean, really, honestly. There's some cages that need some rattling. Let's see, where do we go next? Let's go to Lindsay in Pleasant Shade. Lindsay, you're on with Brian. What's your thought?
My thought, Brian, is I like rattling a few cages. And,
yeah, don't we all?
Well, I said I have friends in low places, and I have friends in high places. And I have a lot of different people that think, a lot of them didn't vote. And now a lot of them, I'm going to put one of those Dems freaking out on my screensaver. Just freaking out. But my special goodbye to you is I have friends in tall places. Baby, I'm 5'9", and you had to bend over to hug me. Bend in half.
All right,
I'm going to miss you so bad. We all call you the most professional man that we have had on here.
Well, I'll still be around some, but not every day. That's all I can tell you right now. But, Lindsay, thank you for the kind words. Greatly appreciated. Let's go to Danny in Selmer. Hello, Danny. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind, Danny?
Good afternoon, sir. Hey, I just want to say real quick that, the folks that wrote the Constitution and established this country, they had some ideas in mind, and they were tired of the tyranny of a huge overgrown government, royalty and stuff. And what they did was a really good idea. The problem is a lot of people have been milking that system since because it worked so well. And now people all around the world are milking that system. And now it's got to the point that the people in this country are fed up with it. And it's time we need some business people back in there instead of politicians in there that are making it a career milking it. And we'll get our country back. We're getting it established. We're working on things. Now, I'm loving the business minds and the legal minds that he's picking. And he's not doing it to be radical. It's because we have to do an overhaul on this nation now
Yep.
before the ship sinks. And I'll just put that in general rather than just naming any particular picks or anything. So,
All right. Listen, I think those are good thoughts there. Thank you so much for calling in. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go to Mike in Morrison. Hello, Mike. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind, Mike? Hello.
Thanks for having me on. So the J6, as soon as Trump gets elected, officially in office, inaugurated, my bad, then he needs to, I feel, my first thoughts were he needs to grant full pardon to all J6ers, but I liked what Chris Hand said this morning. It needs to be a case-by-case procedure.
I think I agree with Chris on that one, yeah.
And also, scrolling through Truth Social, I came across this post once that Trump brings back all those who are fired for not taking the shot during COVID, and he gives them back. What's your thought on that?
Listen, I think that there was, looking back on it, you know, there are times that have occurred during the course of the way things unfold that government thinks it's doing the right thing. And politicians think they're doing the right thing. I mean, the most egregious example of that, of course, was the internment camps for the Japanese during World War II. I think looking back on that, most people agree that probably wasn't the right thing to do. And I think looking back with a little bit of perspective on what the whole COVID thing, government's responsibility, in my mind, was to help make sure that there was a vaccine created. Trump did that. He had a remarkable sort of effort to get the vaccine made, but after that was where government's responsibility ended. There should never have been mandates, and the pressure applied for people to take that shot if they didn't feel good about it. And a lot of people didn't feel good about it. And it was wrong of businesses and government to sort of, and the military to impose that on people. And I think in retrospect, we look back at that and I think we think that, probably if it happened again, it would be happening a lot differently. And I think that people lost their jobs because they chose, for some cases, I know personally cases that there were very, very valid reasons why someone decided not to take the vaccine. And I'm sorry, but I feel like that was wrong, and I still do. And I wish that they if people were harmed by that and lost their jobs, then yeah, I'd be okay with them coming back. I sure would. Let's go to, let's see. Who's next? Let's go to James in Crossville. Hello, James. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Hello, sir. Thank you for having me.
You bet.
I was just going through on our local Facebook pages. We got a few Democrats that talk about the recent picks for, the cabinet positions and how they're not qualified. And as we go through each one, that they seem qualified to me, a few controversial. But, comparing them to Biden's administration, it seemed like you had to have a mental health crisis to even be a part of it. And no one really talks about his picks that Biden had or what they did, like the one that stole the luggage, I believe. I forgot which one that one was. And,
well, Mayorkas. I mean, you got Mayorkas. There's a guy who's, made Secretary of Homeland Security who basically, I think, should be tried for treason. I mean that with every fiber of my being. This guy was horrible and did things that were not in the interest of his sworn oath to defend the laws of this country. And I there's a perfect example. Look, I'm ready for a change. And you know what? Every once in a while, there just comes a time for a quiet revolution, And this is that's what I'm sort of looking at this. This is a quiet revolution, and I hope that it remains quiet. But I think, listen, honestly, things have got to change. If indeed, I forget what it was, something like 60 some odd % of Americans felt like the nation was headed in the wrong direction. Well, okay, let's try a new direction and see how it works out. Have I got time for one more? I think I'm done. Okay, listen, if you didn't get through this time, I'm sorry, but we got another one coming in the 4 o'clock hour, and we'd love to have you weigh in. Right now, we'll call it 50 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Metro police say a man is charged after his girlfriend found something on his computer while he was out of town. I'll tell you about it at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, wow. We'll be tuning in for that one. Listen, coming up in the next hour, we'll talk about Elon and Vivek and cleaning house in this government. And, you know, Pete Hegseth catching some flack, but I got to tell you, I'm ready for some Pete Hegseth at the Department of Defense. We'll talk about all that in another round of Phone Your Farb Thursday. It's all straight ahead right here on Super Talk 99.7. You know, here's a message from Beacon Capital Management. You know, the recent presidential election has most of us wondering if we will be impacted. Our money, our investments, or even retirement, how might they be affected by all this? Well, you're not alone if you have those thoughts. There are steps you can take now to be better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what's going on in the economy, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. That's 615-488-9303.
It is 4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, a man is charged after his girlfriend says she found videos she didn't consent to on his computer. Police say they were hidden camera recordings. Metro Police say 31-year-old Matthew Vollmer is charged with 8 counts of unlawful photography involving 4 female victims. They range in age from 26 to 33. In April, Special Victims Division detectives say they started investigating after a woman Vollmer was dating claimed she had accessed his computer while he was out of town. She found a file folder containing videos of them having sex. She says she didn't consent to any recordings, says she was unaware of a video camera, which she found disguised as an alarm clock. Upon further investigation, police say they discovered 3 other victims. Vollmer is free on a $40,000 bond. Election 2024, President-elect Donald Trump confirming RFK Jr. is who he wants to run run Health and Human Services. He's going to be the secretary of that. Trump posted to Truth Social, the safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS, he says, will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to what Trump calls the overwhelming health crisis in this country. We also have an update on a close U.S. Senate race in Pennsylvania. Reports say Republican David McCormick will defeat Democrat Senator Bob Casey. As of today, McCormick has about 25,000 vote lead, which is narrow enough in Pennsylvania to trigger an automatic recount. But Scripps News and Decision Desk HQ and The Hill do not expect a change in the result. If this is the case, Republicans would hold 53 seats in the U.S. Senate next year, while Democrats will hold 47. And back here in Nashville, Channel 4's Dryden Quigley reports the parents of Belmont University student Julian Ludwig have filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit alleging a series of failures on the part of many, including a Metro cop, the Housing Authority, and Belmont University.
The case alleges that the school did not warn students about the high-crime neighborhood where Julian went on a run that day, while it did warn students about other, less dangerous areas. It accuses an unnamed police officer of not properly searching the area after they were called there for gunshots. They said if they did, they would have easily seen Jillian lying in a very visible area of the park. Instead, she was found more than an hour after she was shot by someone walking by. Those minutes lying there, they say, reduced her chance of survival and increased the pain she went through. Other defendants include those who evaluated the mental well-being of the accused shooter, Shaquille Taylor, and the system that allowed him to walk free after his first crimes.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual stop-and-go traffic getting out of the downtown area, we've got a couple of problems in Williamson County, Franklin to be precise. Right now, the 65 northbound on-ramp from McEwen Drive is blocked due to cleanup from a previous accident. This is 65 northbound right before Cool Springs Boulevard, where there was some debris from an overturned semi. Right now, you've got cleanup from that crash blocking the right two lanes of 65 northbound right before Cool Springs Boulevard. Then 65 southbound right after 440 in Berry Hill, you got a crash there. And then looking out here west of Nashville, I'm seeing 40 westbound in Humphreys County. It's being called a traffic incident at mile marker 140. It is blocking the right lane and the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock, hour number 2 of The Drive on this Thursday, November 14th. Glad that you're with us here on The Drive. We got a lot of ground to cover here today. The breaking news on the world of politics is that the president has nominated RFK Jr. to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the Secretary of HHS, and that will now go forward. That's one that's going to rattle a few cages. I like the fact that cages are being rattled. You know, I'm an old cage rattler from way back.
Yeah,
and I like to rattle a cage now and then, and get people's attention. And you know what? Some of these people are not going to get through. Some of these people will get through. That happens in every administration. I mean, I think going back, I remember some confirmation battles that I thought were, pretty good battles where they just didn't get through, Democrat and Republican. So the president usually gets most of what he wants, but not necessarily all of what he wants, because it's got to go through the Senate, and the Senate has to give its advice and consent. Things crop up, things get found out. You start doing a deep background investigation on people, no telling what might show up, but one way or the other, just that people are squirming in Washington, I go, yeah, I'm all for it. Let them squirm. Let them be filled full of angst. Let them be wondering about whether or not they need to get out before things, develop. I'm all in favor of that. If you have any doubts, get on out. You know what? There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out, I'm all for it. So, but one of the things that I really love, I am so excited about this, and I don't know how exactly it's going to work, is the Department of Governmental Efficiency, DOGE, which will be run by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And I'll tell you something, right there, two people with more brain power than, in probably all of Washington. And those guys are smart. They're both whip smart. And between the two of them, their goal is to reinvent government and to look at government and say, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean that maybe we should continue doing it this way. I love that idea. Fresh eyes. No sacred, no sacred term, things and projects will be left unturned and unexamined. Decide what makes sense for the American people. And look, apparently Elon has said he thinks there's $2 trillion worth of waste in the government. I don't know. That may be a little bit of an overstatement, but who knows? And one way or the other, if you can get rid of a fraud, waste, and abuse, then, have at it. The thing is, they will not have actual government jobs. These will be advisory positions. And it will work through, apparently, the Office of Management and Budget to carry out whatever the president signs off on. So the way I see this happening is that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk make a list of recommendations to Donald Trump. He makes a recommendation to the Office of Management and Budget, and then they OMB, and they go out there and they see what they can accomplish. Now, government workers have a lot of union protection. And so, maybe, but I've heard Elon offer some interesting ideas. Let's get rid of these people and give them 2 years worth of salary, of severance, and just say, go out there and do something productive with your life. And, and a lot of people, I think, in government look at, 2 years of salary and a chance to rebuild and go do something else. A lot of people would find that attractive. So whether or not that can work or not and can get congressional approval, I don't know. But I love the idea that you got two guys who have, one of the hallmarks of their careers have been that they think outside the box. And it's time for a real change, a sea change in Washington, D.C., and I like it. The Wall Street Journal has a very interesting article about what's going on with this transition team. Musk-Alago, inside Elon Musk role on the Trump transition team. In a lounge outside Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago office, cabinet hopefuls mingle with advisors and friends of the future president. The occasional resort member strolls through. It is, as one Republican puts it, the world's most important job fair. Some of those waiting outside have been summoned by the president-elect. Others have asked Mar-a-Lago members they know to invite them to the resort, hoping to get a few minutes with him. Nearly as important is getting on Musk's radar. The two men have been inseparable over the past weeks at Mar-a-Lago, where the Tesla chief executive has become such a fixture that Trump has given him his own walk-on song to play when he enters the dining room. It's David Bowie's Space Oddity. Musk has become the most influential member of the president-elect's orbit. According to two people close to the transition, the world's richest man has been sitting in on meetings and interviews with candidates for cabinet positions, joining Trump's calls with foreign leaders such as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and recruiting friends and allies for crucial positions in the government. Musk has not responded to requests for comments, but Caroline Leavitt, a Trump transition spokeswoman, said in a statement, Elon Musk and President Trump are great friends and brilliant leaders working together to make America great again. Elon Musk is a once-in-a-generation business leader, and our federal bureaucracy will certainly benefit from his ideas and efficiency. Musk, by the way, spent about $200 million in his effort to reelect Trump. Musk has been staying at Mar-a-Lago, according to people familiar with the matter, alongside members of his family. Sometimes Musk has his 4-year-old son X in tow. Trump's granddaughter posted a photo of him on the golf course saying Elon is achieving uncle status. At night, he's been spotted dining with Trump and his wife Melania. I'm happy to be the first buddy, Musk has posted on X. He doesn't have a formal title on Trump's transition team, but works daily with transition's co-chair Howard Lutnick and Linda McMahon in sessions over personnel moves and minutia. Some of the people have said, with large screens in front of them, Musk and others weigh in on candidates as their headshots are presented on large television screens. Melissa Rain Lively, a publicist who's been publicly angling for a job of White House press secretary, has been seeking to meet with Trump advisors, including Musk. She said Musk recently texted her and suggested they get together while in Florida, saying he heard she was someone he should meet. She has pitched him on being his personal spokeswoman if the White House job doesn't work out. I think they need a personal spokeswoman, but I think that may be what Vivek is going to be. When Trump is sworn in January, Musk will take charge of a new entity. Trump calls the Department of Government Efficiency with former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. It won't be a government department, though the name with the initials DOGE is Musk's homage to Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency that he frequently jokes about. In his role, Musk has said he would look for places to cut red tape and slash trillions, that's right, trillions with a T, of dollars from the government budget. But even as he has threatened to cut jobs, Musk has in the past week turned to close friends to fill new government roles that could also affect his 6 companies, including Tesla, SpaceX, X, and people close to the transition say. A couple of interesting things. I'm going to skip on down here just a little deeper in this article. Musk has said that laid-off federal workers should receive as much as 2 years of severance, as well as job training, according to a person familiar with his plans. He is expected to target cuts at agencies that regulate or investigate his companies, including the Federal Trade Commission, the Justice Department, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Internal Revenue Service, according to people who've worked with Musk and talked to him about the agencies. Veterans of Trump's first term expect Trump to turn on Musk eventually. I don't know that that's true, particularly if he outshines him at events or tries to take the lead. But so far, people who have witnessed their interaction said Trump and Musk seem to be getting along. Over the weekend, Trump dined with Musk on Mar-a-Lago's expansive patio. People who were there said Musk received celebrity treatment from patrons of the private club who competed for his attention. So bright is his star power among the conservative Trump supporters who spend their evenings at Mar-a-Lago that one club member regular compared him to Paul McCartney. Well, hold on a minute. Come on. I might have to draw the line there, but
pretty big there.
That's I mean, he's not a Beatle, but come on. That's pretty good. I love that. The other things that are going on, I mean, I saw this story in the Federalist, and it talks about, and pushing, and I think we should be pushing, completely rethink government, because it's simply not working. It's become so morass, such a moving so slowly and ineffectually, not looking out for, the customer, which ought to be you and me. From the Federalist, just a headline here, Trump shouldn't hire Kristi Noem or anyone else to run the Department of Homeland Security. He should simply abolish it. The Homeland Security is a product of post 9/11. And, there was a remake of government under George W. Bush, and they took a lot of different things and put it in this new department called the Department of Homeland Security. But I'm not sure that it's worked the way it should. And I'd be, for example, Secret Service ought not be under the Homeland Security Department. It ought to stand alone. It was a much better organization when it was under the auspices of the Department of Treasury, which is weird, but that's where it was before. So, maybe we need to think about the Department of Homeland Security and reorganize it in a better way. Having learned, we've looked at it, we've run with it for a while. I think we all became very disappointed with the direction of the Homeland Security Department under Alejandro Mayorkas, and so I would be in favor of that. And then there's this, and I'm for this. Trump wants to shut down the Department of Education. And here's what that would mean. And this is an article from CNN. Of course, they're probably against it, but I'm for it. And the Department of Education, hands out a lot of grants. But the thing about the grants is that when they trickle down to the states, there are strings attached. Here in Tennessee, and I misspoke about this the other day, in Tennessee, we have contemplated maybe what we do is we do something where we don't have to take federal election money. But according to a story I read today, we still do. And so the question is, maybe what they just do is they just divide up a big pile of money and just send it. No strings attached, and let the states work it out. States and local entities. I don't think we need to be having anybody in Washington tell us how to educate our kids. Those decisions should be made on the community level, first of all, with some input perhaps by the state, but definitely it ought not come from Washington. One thing I can tell you, if the job of the education department is to make sure the kids in America are getting educated, it has failed miserably. It's not working. And maybe a complete wholesale dissolution of the Department of Education is the right approach. Les, remember the old saying? This is my mantra. I've always believed this. That government which governs best is that which governs least. Let's have a minimalistic federal government, as the founders had intended. 21 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. Basic Smart Care plans start at $69 a month, and what you get for that is free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there are no long wait times in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that provides and treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. Again, it's fall allergy season. Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Here's the number, 599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Right now in Nashville, a man is charged after his girlfriend claims she found hidden camera recordings of them. We'll tell you about that and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes now past the hour. A reminder that after the bottom of the hour news with Ken Weaver, we'll do round number 2 of Phone Your FARB Thursday. Yes, Thursday, because I don't work on Fridays anymore.
Call it Phone Your FARB Thursday.
Yeah, what did I say?
No, I'm just saying you could. You could
Yeah,
call
you could do it that
Phone Your FARB Thursday.
Okay, I could. Yeah, couldn't I? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to.
But I don't have a list.
Brian, he was non-committal there, Brother Chris.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Well,
I
never
don't think
mind then.
That was, I mean, an interesting and yet humorous idea that will be not a thought.
Duly noted, right?
Yeah, duly noted. Every time, I would have a conversation with Dan Mandis when he's program director. It became a joke with us, really. Is that he would he's program director, and when he was program director, and he call him and say, "Well, I have a question about this and that, and maybe a suggestion." And I'm always open actually to people who call me and say that they have suggestions. But he would go through this thing, and we'd have a conversation and back and forth. Sometimes I would explain my position on it, and he'd go, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense," and that was the end of it. Sometimes I'd say, okay, I was accepting, as they say in the drama world, a note from my program director. But I would always end it by saying, "All right, Dan, duly noted."
I found that doesn't work with my significant other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I'm not surprised.
Duly noted.
Duly noted,
which is a great non-committal thing to say.
You just get a glare whenever you say that. And it's like,
well,
say that again, buddy.
Thank you for this conversation. Your ideas are duly noted. Use that on your boss sometime.
Yeah.
But, with Dan, I was just teasing because, we had a great relationship when he was program director. And by the way, I have a great relationship with the new program director, Paul Mason. I was going to talk about Pete Hegseth, but I think I have sort of eaten up that time. But don't worry, I'll come back to it. Pete Hegseth, of course, is our friend on this program, and he's been on every Wednesday when we could get our schedules to align for I don't know, maybe a year. Would you say, Chris, about a year or so?
Sounds about right, yeah.
About right. And, when he moved to Tennessee and I reached out to him and he agreed that, he would like to come on. I never really imagined that he would do it, but he did it because he's a busy guy. And he's got to travel back and forth from Tennessee to New York every week, and he has a whole bunch of other things. He's a New York Times best-selling author and all of that. But we love him. We think the world of him. And apparently there are some nervous Nellies in Washington about this nomination to be the new Secretary of Defense. And what I would say about that is, again, the Pentagon. It ain't perfect, boys and girls. It needs a lot of work. And if there's ever been a stodgy bureaucracy, it's the Pentagon. But I think that what's wrong with the Pentagon is what's wrong with a lot of things in Washington right now, and it has to do with DEI. And Pete Hegseth would be somebody who would go out there and clean up that mess. And so the end result of it is that a lot of people who have been pushing the woke agenda within the military are very worried, including a few people who have stars on their shoulders. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more later in just a little bit. Coming up again after the news here in just a few moments, we will get ready for Phone Your FARB Thursday. So if you got something to say, something on your mind, you want to talk about RFK, you want to talk about Matt Gaetz, you want to talk about anything. And remember, we do compare the earlier hour with the second hour. It's not really a competition, so no wagering, but we'll be listening for your best stuff at 615-737-9986. Right now, time for the news at 4:30.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, a man is charged with recording women without their consent during sex. Metro Police say they've identified 4 victims, 2 of whom spoke exclusively to Channel 4. One of the women, Laura Cantrell, Cantwell, that is, telling Channel 4 why she's coming forward.
This man needs to be held accountable, both in the court of justice, but also in the court of public opinion. And it's important to me that he knows that I'm the one who's doing it to him.
Police say 31-year-old Matthew Vollmer disguised a camera as an alarm clock. Governor Bill Lee backs calls for the coming Trump administration to end the federal Department of Education, saying he's confident the state can manage funding for the needs of children with disabilities, students who use English as a second language, and provide a solid education for students in rural areas.
In Tennessee, we know Tennessee. We know our children. We know the needs here much better than a bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. does. So I would welcome that opportunity.
Lee goes on to say Tennessee was handling education just fine before the Federal Department of Education was formed in 1979. Monday News, Michelle Franzen.
Markets closing down today with a buying spree following the Trump election cooling off. The Dow closing down 207 points, the S&P dropping 36, and the Nasdaq falling 123 points. A cautious note from the Federal Reserve Chair today. Jerome Powell says the nation's top bank will likely cut its key interest rates slowly and deliberately. Wholesale prices are up again. It was revealed today. The Producer Price Index rising 0.2% from September to October. A 6-week-long climb in mortgage rates has come to an end. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says that the average rate on a 30-year mortgage slipped from 6.79 to 6.78%. Ford is going to pay the second largest fine in the history of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, up to $165 million for moving too slowly on a recall and failing to give accurate recall information. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we've got a crash just south of downtown. It is 65 southbound after the 440 exit. And in Franklin, crews are still cleaning up after a semi overturned right there at Cool Springs Boulevard going northbound on 65. That damaged the pavement there. So crews are out there trying to repair the interstate northbound 65 at Cool Springs Boulevard. Now, that also is blocking the 65 northbound on-ramp from McEwen Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way up until 7 o'clock, where we will hand it over to Mark Levin. Glad that you are with us here on this Thursday, the 14th day of November. A lot of news going on. The big news, of course, is that the Trump administration, or the incoming Trump administration, has nominated RFK Jr. To head up the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, and that's that's going to land with that's going to sting some people, and I'm just, again, I'm ready to sort of tear it up. But you know what we're going to do right now? Something that we normally do on Friday, but I don't work Fridays anymore. So let's go to today's version of Phone Your Farb Thursday. What are you thinking? So listen, get on the line, 615-737-9986, and express yourself within boundaries. We got some people already lined up, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time going, through the burr and the bee and the bug. We'll just go ahead and start. How about if we start with Larry in Clarksville? Larry in Clarksville, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Larry?
Thank you, Brian. First of all, you will be missed, sir. Thank you for everything you've done for Tennessee. Glad you moved here, and thanks for your time on WTN. Congratulations to Pete Hegseth. I've just started his book, War on Warriors, and as sometimes I have disagreed with Matt Gaetz, I would love to see him, although I don't think he'd get confirmed, as being the Attorney General. But my question to you, sir, and I truly value your opinion, with President Trump, who I adamantly support, filling his cabinet with a lot of these congressmen and senators, is that going to hurt our slim majority in each place?
Well, most of the people who have been, as far as I know, all of the people have been chosen, that they've looked at that. The one I was initially concerned about was Elise Stefanik out of New York, but I've done a little more research on that, and I wasn't real familiar with New York election law. I can't know it all, but I began looking at that, and apparently they are required to go immediately to a special election, and hers is thought to be a reliably red district. So, I mean, but here's the thing. Sometimes, even if if you think you got a good person, things don't go well in an election. And the Democrats are going to do everything they can, throw every bit of money they can at these House races, because the margin's so slim there. If they could pull back a seat or two, you know what, they would love to do it, and they're willing to pay for it. So I always sort of look at this thing as a hand in the bush. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. So I wouldn't have gone there. But nonetheless, Matt Gaetz, is going to step down. But I know his congressional district quite well. I used to live down there. And it's a reliably red area. A little doubt that a Democrat would win, although you never know. So I just wouldn't have gone to the House. And the Senate, that's another thing. But it seems like they've thought about that one through. Rubio, whatever happens there, it's going to be the governor, DeSantis, who makes the nomination. We may have, before it's all over with, Haggerty may end up in the administration, and we've got Bill Lee making those decisions. So I think we'll be okay. But I just wouldn't have messed with the House because the margins there are so incredibly thin. But thank you for the call. Let's go to Doug in Gallatin. Hello, Doug. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you think, Doug?
Hey, Brian, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I'm really curious. Do you think that the president will pardon Rudy Giuliani? And I know all the Democrats' heads will explode if he does that, and especially if he kind of gives him, some kind of little job somewhere. That would really set him off. And the second thing I've got is if he wants a pit bull for a White House spokesperson, he needs to put Leo Terrell in that position. Leo will tear them up.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be Caroline Leavitt. Apparently, Alina Habba, who spoke on behalf of his legal team, did a great job, by the way, and I thought she was quite good at it, has said that she will not be the White House press secretary. I don't know. It'd be interesting who they end up going with. I have no real clear feeling about it, except that that's an important job. Going out there every day and doing battle with the press corps. There are a lot of good people that he could choose from, and we'll see how it all goes. But yeah, Rudy Giuliani, I don't think he'll be a part of the administration. But as for pardons, I think there could be some pardons coming, and I think some pardons would not be out of order. Let's go to Betty, our friend Betty in Hendersonville. Hello, Betty. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Well, hello, Brian. As
Hey.
a proud owner of an original Ding sticker, I took your announcement. Okay, but we need to schedule the FARB farewell. Okay,
Yeah.
if you are truly our friend and radio buddy. Now I know this is out of your go-to one thing, but you need to allow all of us listeners who have so enjoyed you to celebrate you.
Well,
you really
Betty.
need to do that. You need to do that. You need to allow us that opportunity. So I think you need to work that in.
FARB farewell. Well, you know what? I'm still. It's a long, complex thing, and I don't want to bore you with a bunch of radio stuff that it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to be around. In some kind of capacity, filling in this, that, and the other, and I'm working on some things that hopefully will be things that you will hear my voice on a regular occasion. Although, who knows how that works out. But one way or the other, the departure has been very friendly, and the folks here have said that they want me around. So, in some capacity, and we'll figure out what that is. One way or the other, yeah, I wouldn't mind a FARB farewell. I like that. I like that. That's what you call it. FARB farewell. What do you think? What do you think, guys?
Well, not to steal Betty's thunder, but I actually suggested that one when I was talking to her earlier. So.
Oh, really?
Not to toot my own horn or anything.
All right. FARB,
that sounds good.
farewell.
It flows.
It does. It has alliteration, which of course means
Yep.
it's going to work.
That's
well,
right.
I don't know. I'll leave that up to others. But if there is a desire, I'm on board. Let's put it that way. Let's go to Andrew in Mount Juliet. And by the way, Betty, you've been a great listener to this program, and it touches me when I hear your voice break a little bit. Believe me, this has been a very emotional time for me as well. It really has been. Andrew in Mount Juliet, you're up next on the Drive.
Hey, Brian. A little thing about Gaetz. For him not to get confirmed, that means it's going to have to take some Republicans that aren't going to support it.
Yep.
So I don't know how how plausible that is. But one thing on Gaetz and his experience, I heard a report when JFK hired his brother Bobby to be his AG, I didn't realize this, but he had never tried one case. So there is a precedent for somebody that isn't necessarily living in the courtroom that can be a successful AG. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Yeah, we had 53 votes in the Senate right now. The way things look, there's going to be a recount on the election out of Pennsylvania, but I don't think it's going to change anything. And I got two people right here, Murkowski and Collins, which I'll play their sound bites in a bit, who said that they're not on board. So that brings it down to 51. John Cornyn is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. John Cornyn is a sort of an old school establishment guy, and he's a former, by the way, I think I want to say this correctly, Texas Supreme Court justice. So he looks at things sort of in a very somber and serious way, and I don't know that he's gonna be able to go along with Matt Gaetz. I don't know. You're right, though. It will take some Republican votes against to kill that nomination, or it could happen in committee. Maybe never make it to the floor. We'll see what happens. Adam in Columbia, you're up with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Adam?
Hey, Brian, the whole Matt Gaetz thing is right out of Trump's book, Art of the Deal. You always ask for more than you want when you're making a deal. So I think that's part of the reason why he nominated Gaetz. I guess my other comment concerning Gaetz is we hear a lot of pushback from people who are already in the establishment D.C. swamp saying that he's not right for the job. Frankly, I don't think they're right for the job. For them to say, hey, I'm here and he's not going to do the job right. Well, hell, you haven't done the job for the last, 10 years. So for all them to be squalling like a mashed cat, I think he's the right fit.
Here's an idea that you throw out, somebody like Matt Gaetz, and you say, this is my guy, and you fight for him to the bitter end, and then let's say it falls by the wayside. Well, then the next person you send up could well be just as effective as Matt Gaetz would have been, but maybe is not as controversial, and that person right through. That's how these things sometimes end up. A lot of times I've seen these these confirmation battles take place. I remember Bill Clinton had a hell of a time getting an attorney general, and we ended up with Janet? What was her name?
Reno,
Janet Reno. But I think there were two before her. That Kimball Woods comes to mind. I covered them, but I've slept since then. So one of the things I would say is that sometimes you end up with somebody who couldn't do the job the same way that Matt Gaetz would have done it, but is not as controversial. And because you've already sort of expended all that energy to go against one, it's harder to go against the second one. You hear what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe he's chum. Maybe he's chum in the water and a sacrificial lamb so that, you get somebody strong in there right after him. I don't know. But you're right. It doesn't seem like it's too far out of his playbook. Let's see. I've been talking too much. How about let's go to Bill in Tullahoma. Bill, you're up with Brian on the drive.
Hi, Brian. Yeah, it's good to talk to you. When Phil Valentine passed away, it was a big loss to me because I love listening to his show every day. But I want you to know you've done it. We really enjoyed your taking over and how well you've done. I go home at night, my wife will say, honey, did you hear what Brian said about this or what Brian said about that? And I'll say, well, most of the time I'm in the truck a lot, and I listen to you all the time. So I just want you to know you've done an A1 job, and we really appreciate you, and we're gonna miss you on there every day.
Well, listen, Bill, thank you for that. When we talked about what to do after Phil's passing, there were a lot of less than optimal options, and I was maybe the best worst option that we had, and nobody can replace Phil Valentine. There's just no way that can happen. Phil was just amazing, and I was lucky to count him as a friend. But I came in here and did what I could. And the one thing that I've been very touched by is it would have been very easy people to say, well, he's not Phil Valentine, and just, that you just get, all up and irritated about it. But most people, really, really were very gracious about, me arriving, and I will always remember that. That was you graciously accepted me and welcomed me to that slot. And, I will always remember that kindness. 51 past the hour now. There are no pills or spinal creams that can fix the pain in your back. I mean, if you have pain in your back, it's more than likely pressure on your nerves. And if that's the case, then there really are just a couple of options: surgery or this non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have state-of-the-art facilities and the latest high-tech equipment, and they offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine. If you are a new patient, come in, get an exam, a consultation, an x-ray if you need one, and your first treatment, all for $23. And then after that, remember, the spinal decompression treatments, half off. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police are charging a man for allegedly secretly recording women while they were having sex. Authorities say they have found 4 victims. They say a woman whom he was dating found a file on his computer while he was out of town, and it had the recordings. She says she then discovered a hidden camera in his alarm clock and called police. They started investigating in April and arrested him yesterday. 31-year-old Matthew Vollmer is charged with 8 counts of unlawful photography involving 4 female victims ranging in age from 26 to 33. He was freed on a $40,000 bond. Election 2024, Karen Travers.
President-elect Trump announced on social media he's nominating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be his Secretary of Health and Human Services, writing that Kennedy would restore public health agencies to, quote, the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency. Kennedy is an environmental lawyer and founder of an anti-vaccine advocacy group. He's been criticized for publicizing COVID-19 misinformation. Doctors and public health experts have expressed serious concerns about his potential leadership of public health agencies due to those positions.
Republicans are projected to flip a U.S. Senate seat in Pennsylvania. Reports say Republican David McCormick leads Democrat Bob Casey by about 25,000 votes, which is close enough to trigger a recount, but it's not expected to change anything. And if this is the case, Republicans would hold 53 seats in the U.S. Senate next year, while Democrats hold 47. Well, the head of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is warning of a violent gang returning to the volunteer state. Trinidad Aragua disappeared from Tennessee a couple of years ago, but at Tuesday's budget meeting with the governor, TBI Director David Rouse said their members have resurfaced in metropolitan areas.
They are very violent. This is a group that was created in gangs in Venezuela, in the prisons in Venezuela, and they are here, and they're in numbers here.
He says Trinidad Aragua begins its criminal enterprise by kidnapping women from Venezuela, then trafficking them to the U.S., which eventually evolves into organized retail crime, drugs, and heinous violence. The FBI is looking for a man they say has information about the identity of a child sex abuse victim who's part of an ongoing investigation, and they need Tennesseans to help them find him. They don't have this man's name, but they do have video of a white man between 45 and 65 years old who is bald with a dark goatee. He has at least 5 visual tattoos. The word Dabby on the right side of his chest, 197, followed by some words on his left bicep, additional tattoos on his left and right forearms. Anyone with information to provide is asked to submit a tip online at tipsfbi.gov or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right. In addition to the slow go out of the downtown area, we do have some other hurdles. Looks like in Madison, you got a crash there at Gallatin Pike and Briley Parkway. In Franklin, they're still dealing with that semi that overturned there at Cool Springs, trying to repair the road there, the interstate, if you will. And it has the 65 northbound on-ramp from McEwen Drive blocked. In Brentwood, you got a crash, 65 southbound after Old Hickory Boulevard. Then down in Rutherford County, 24 westbound at Waldron Road. Highway Patrol says there is a ladder in the left lane. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and hour number 3 of The Drive is now kicking off for this 14th day of November. We've got, it's a November to remember, I'll tell you that for sure, because we got a lot of stuff happening that you need to be brought up to speed on. So hang in there with me for a few moments, and I'll go through some of that. I've neglected to mention that finally the vaunted Associated Press has now officially called the House of Representatives at 218. So that means they now agree with everybody else on the planet that Republicans will control the House. We have now, that means we have the Republican president, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House. I mean, we've sort of known that, but now that the AP has spoken, it's now, I guess, official. But anyway, there's that. We have today, I think the only major announcement, I haven't seen anything else. You keep an eye on Truth Social because, these things happen about this time of day. Announcements are made.
He did a few minutes ago announce that Todd Blanche will serve as Deputy Attorney General in his administration.
Okay.
Obviously, not a big news there.
No, I mean, that's an important position, but, there's a lot of those kind of positions that really won't make the news in a big way. But we have today, the big announcement so far is that RFK Jr. will become the secretary. He's been nominated to become the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the Secretary of HHS. And so that's gonna I'm telling you, a lot of these men are sending shock waves through certain. You think Big Pharma's not a little nervous right now? Of course they are.
Yeah.
And you think that there aren't a bunch of people buried within the ranks at the Department of Justice right now who aren't a little nervous at the prospect of having Matt Gaetz as their Attorney General? You bet there are. And that one is catching a lot of interest. There's several I think that are going to be be interesting to watch. Look, I think that Gaetz, to some degree, I'm not sure he can get through the confirmation process. There are some issues, and I'll get into that as we open up this segment. But I'll tell you, you got to love it when you're out there and an announcement is made, and then you can instantly hear heads exploding in Washington. Jake, one of them was Jake Tapper's.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and let me begin the show by uttering some words that I never contemplated using together before, and those words are U.S. Attorney General Matt Gaetz.
In the Senate, of course, he has to go through confirmation process, and already a couple of people that you might expect have raised some concerns. Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, their heads were exploding.
I don't think it's a serious nomination for the Attorney General. We need to have a serious Attorney General, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to consider somebody that is serious. This one was not on my bingo card.
I was shocked that he has been nominated. If the nomination proceeds, I'm sure that there will be an extensive background check by the FBI and public hearings and a lot of questions.
Senator John Fetterman.
What do you think of all these Trump picks, including Matt Gaetz?
Oh well, I put out a tweet about it. I mean, clearly, it's just kind of like a god tier kind of trolling, just to trigger a meltdown. But really, the Dems' opinions on Gaetz, that's not really what's interesting. What to me is interesting is the good ones are gonna come by my colleagues on the other side, the GOP, on how they can justify voting for that jerk off.
Do you think that President Trump actually wants him in this job, or is he using it as a test of your Republican colleagues? Is that what you're implying?
Like I said, it's just trolling. They have had serious appointments. I'm a big fan of Rubio's. I mean, we're different politically. Stefanik, I just saw him. My colleague from Missouri, Eric Schmidt. He was the AG for Missouri. He would have been a solid pick. And then you put out someone like that, then it's just nothing but trolling. And even the Republicans know who he is, and it's, again, we all know what the Democratic side is going to be. That's where the interesting the interesting answers are going to come from my colleagues on the GOP that are going to vote or justify voting for that mess.
What about Tulsi Gabbard for DNI?
Well, he goes on to talk about Tulsi Gabbard and others. But there you have it. Fetterman, saying, he doesn't think it's a very serious pick. And so will he get through confirmation process? Well, there's some real problems there. Caroline Levitt, though, who speaks on behalf of the Trump transition, says, look, we're serious about this.
9 days ago, President Trump received a resounding mandate from the American people, a once-in-a-generation mandate for change. Throughout this entire campaign, the American people made it clear they were sick and tired of the status quo from the Harris-Biden administration. They wanted a new direction for this country, and they chose President Trump to put America first. He has rolled out 16 fantastic picks over the past 9 days, and Matt Gaetz is one of those picks. I know Matt personally. He is a great person. He's a man of integrity. He also is a brilliant litigator. He served on the House Judiciary Committee for 8 years. Anyone who has watched him in those hearings knows that he's incredibly impressive. And like President Trump, Matt Gaetz has been a victim of the weaponized Department of Justice. And one of the promises President Trump made to the American people was to root out the corruption at the DOJ. We have seen this agency turn against the American people because of their political beliefs. Matt Gaetz and President Trump are going to put an end to that, and that's what the American people want. That's why they elected him.
All right, just a couple of ideas here. Having been a witness to a bunch of confirmation hearings, I really should go back and try to count it all up. But I mean, look, every time there's a new administration, you go through a round of these confirmation hearings for everybody who's going to serve on the president's cabinet and other key positions. And so as a person who covered Capitol Hill for many years, I've gone to a lot of these things. And sometimes presidents, they go through pretty easy, and it's just basically a rubber stamping. Sometimes there are big fights over individuals, and sometimes they just don't get through. I mean, I've seen other presidents who put up nominees that just didn't get through for one reason or another. So Trump is expected to get, I think, a lot of his nominees. I'm not sure he's going to get all of them, but one way or the other, here's the thing. So you put up Gaetz, right, as your attorney general nominee, and the heads explode, and people, they start salivating and losing their minds because, Gaetz, we can't have Gaetz. We can't have Gaetz. Everybody hates Gaetz. And then, so let's say he doesn't make it, that it washes out. It's going to be awful hard to say no to the next person you send up there. And you can send somebody who's just as willing to go in there and tear the place apart as Gaetz, but is not as controversial. What if somebody called in earlier and said, this is out of the art of the deal. Always ask for more than you want. And then, if you get, something less than that, it was probably what you really wanted all along. It makes sense. I mean, when you go in there and you deal for a new car in the dealership, you ask for the moon, and they're not going to give you the moon, but then they'll come up some, they'll go down some in the price of the vehicle, and they'll meet you somewhere. So I mean, it's just negotiating. It's just the art of the deal. Maybe he gets in, man. I tell you what. It couldn't be any worse than Merrick Garland. I can tell you that for dang sure. Boy, has that guy turned out to be something. We really dodged a bullet that he didn't make the Supreme Court. So Gaetz, I don't know. If you twist my arm and say, what do you really think? I don't think he's going to make it. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Somebody pointed out earlier in a call, I thought it was a great observation. Gaetz has got a problem. He's got this ethics committee report that was about to come out, and apparently, I don't know, you hear rumors that it wasn't going to be very favorable. These things, the allegations that were being investigated were very serious. I think they were going to vote on it today, and it was going to come out. Well, he resigned yesterday, and what that does is it essentially says the report will not be made public. At least that's the way it's usually done. So let's read through some of the things that have been written here about Gaetz. From the Wall Street Journal. Trump sends shockwaves through Washington with Gaetz pick. Selection draws skepticism from some Republicans in Congress. Hours after a cordial meeting with President Biden, Trump on his way back to Florida announced administration picks that prompted surprise on Capitol Hill. Trump named Representative Matt Gaetz as his nominee for Attorney General, sending shockwaves through Washington. House and Senate lawmakers were visibly surprised by the nomination, and some senators whose job it is to hold hearings and confirm nominees openly questioned whether Gaetz could be confirmed. That's what I'm wondering, said Senator Kevin Cramer, Republican of North Dakota. I don't need to think about that one. Senator Susan Collins said she was shocked. Gaetz says that he had been under House ethics investigation, focused on whether he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. He has denied all wrongdoing. He is also disliked by some Republican colleagues for engineering the ouster of then Speaker Kevin McCarthy last year. Trump has moved with uncommon speed to get his administration in order and has floated the idea of Congress going into recess so he could bypass the Senate confirmation process and install nominees. Republicans have a 53-47 majority in the next Senate, and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance can break any ties. That means a nominee can afford to lose no more than 3 GOP votes if all Democrats are opposed. So there is the answer to that. I forgot about J.D. Vance. That's right. So there we have that. From Axios, Matt Gaetz resigns ahead of key ethics committee meeting. He resigned from Congress just before the House Ethics Committee was set to hold a potentially pivotal meeting on his investigation into the Florida congressman. Why it matters, Gaetz' resignation just hours after Trump announced his nomination for Attorney General puts a swift end to the panel's wide-ranging probe. House Speaker Mike Johnson said that Gaetz' intention was to allow a swift process to fill his seat as Trump's selection of several House members for administration roles has the GOP anxious about its slim majority. Gaetz could have a difficult time getting confirmed in the Senate as many Republicans reacted to his nomination with shock and horror. Their heads. Can I do it again?
Why not? Go for it.
Heads exploding. Gaetz Gaetz ethics report threatens to derail Senate confirmation from the Washington Examiner. Key Senate Republicans are warning that the controversial nomination, which sent shockwaves through Washington, is unlikely to sail through their GOP-controlled chamber next year, at least not without first seeing a yet-to-be-published House Ethics Committee report of its investigation into Gaetz over allegations of sex trafficking and sex with a minor. I think there should not be any limitations on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, including whatever the House Ethics Committee has generated, said Senator John Cornyn, a member of the Senate's Judiciary panel, not chairman, but he's member of the panel charged with holding Gaetz confirmation hearings. So that's going to be interesting. I said he was the chairman. He's not. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina says, Republican colleagues should give him a chance. We're going to give the president a chance to put his people forward. To every Republican, give Matt a chance. I say elections have consequences when Republicans don't like it. And I'm telling my Democrat friends, elections have consequences whether you like it or not. So there you go. Lindsey Graham saying, let's go ahead and do it. 21 past the hour. Hey, listen, the folks at Stoltzco, or if you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltzco are the two guys you need to talk to. They're known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices, and they can build a new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. Here's a question for you. They want to know, hey, do you own some land? Have you done anything with your money? Why not do something with that money? Invest in that land. Improve upon that land. Maybe you want to build a barn dominium. That's a house that looks like a barn, and man, are they cool, and man, are they in demand. You can get a pole barn to do a lot of different things. It can be a garage. It can be a place for your horses, an equestrian space. You could do that. How about developing an event space and rent it out on weekends? That's a good idea. Listen, whatever you do, just go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO.com. Take a look at what they've done for others, and then give them a call. 615-622-5992. Learn more again at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live. Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
We'll let you hear from a couple of Republican Congress members about the possibility of Matt Gaetz being named Attorney General. And then we've got more on the hidden camera sex scandal involving a 31-year-old man here in Nashville and 4 alleged victims at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, Chris Weber in the control room. Together we are the team that brings you news and information every afternoon. And we are also this is the show where you know as much as possible that we believe that the truth is out there. Did you know that yesterday, there was so much else going on, that there was a hearing about UFOs in the House side on Capitol Hill. And I didn't get a chance to watch it because it was going on all day and there are other things breaking. But I have been looking to find out exactly what happened there. And a really nice write-up by the Wall Street Journal. Former Pentagon official on UFOs, quote, "We are not alone." Ex-government and military officials testify in latest congressional hearing on the mysterious phenomena which have long fascinated the public. We should not turn a blind eye, but boldly face this new reality and learn from it, said retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who said he saw a video of an inexplicable flying object during naval training exercises nearly a decade ago. The hearing Wednesday. What was that?
Not me.
Okay, wasn't me. The hearing Wednesday by 2 House Oversight Subcommittees is the latest in the congressional push for transparency around UFOs, which have long fascinated the public. Witnesses have alleged that they have seen aerial phenomenon exhibiting qualities that defy explanation and that the U.S. government has taken steps to shield what it knows. The Pentagon did not respond to a request for comment Wednesday. The department has previously said there is no evidence that UFO sightings are alien spacecraft. The federal government has begun disclosing some information about UAP, and several branches are investigating the phenomenon. It's interesting when the Pentagon says there's no evidence that it is, but they can't explain it. I mean, that's what you never hear the second half of that. They say, yeah, there's things out there we can't explain, but no evidence that it's aliens. Well, we don't know what it is. But, something is out there. There is no doubt about that. Gallaudet said he first had confirmation that UAPs were real in 2015 while working for the Navy. At that time, he said he received an email from an officer from the U.S. Fleet Forces Command. Listen to this. He gets an email from an officer from the U.S. Fleet Forces Command with a video of a flying object taken by a Navy aircraft doing exercises. The email said there had been several near mid-air collisions and that the exercises could be canceled if the issue was not resolved. Gallaudet said the flying object shown in the video had flight and structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal. The next day, he says, the email disappeared from his and other accounts without explanation. No higher-up officials discussed what happened that day, he said. Republican Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, the chairwoman of one of this committee, said her opening remarks that some people didn't want Wednesday's hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. She did not specify who those people were. But we stood firm. No amount of outside pressure would ever keep me from pursuing a subject. Luis Elizondo, a former Defense Department official, testified that the U.S. and some of its adversaries are in possession of UAP technology and are keeping it secret to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. Let me be clear, says Elizondo, UAP are real, who added that much of his government work is still classified. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Trump says he's going to get to the bottom of this. And I'm ready. I think the American people are ready.
He sounds ready, too.
Yeah. Are you ready? Come on out. What do we got to come up with a name for that guy?
Oh, well, we shouldn't assume gender. He may not be a he.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. It is 31 past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and some Republican senators having concerns about Congressman Matt Gaetz being named Attorney General in President Trump's next administration. Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota telling ABC News on Capitol Hill today, Gaetz has a steep hill to climb to get the necessary votes and that he is holding back for now on committing his.
I have concerns that he can't get across the finish line, and we're going to spend a lot of political capital. I say we. A lot of people will spend a lot of political capital on something that even if it got done, you'd have to wonder if it was worth it.
Well, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst says Republicans will discuss the House ethics report on Gaetz' alleged sexual misconduct if the House releases it.
Well, we'll talk about it for certain. I know he's going to have an uphill battle.
Gaetz has always maintained his innocence, and there were never any charges. Right now in Nashville, a man is free on bond after getting arrested for allegedly video recording sex with women who claimed they didn't know he was recording them. Police say they started investigating 31-year-old Matthew Vollmer in April after a woman he was dating claimed she found a file on his computer with the recordings. She says she then found a camera hidden in his alarm clock. Police say they identified 4 female victims ranging in ages from 26 to 33. Also in Tennessee, state lawmakers filing legislation to give non-U.S. citizens driver's licenses, but they will be a different color from what the U.S. citizens get. Immigration rights advocates telling Channel 4 it'll make immigrants feel like they don't belong and open the door to harassment by law enforcement.
It's confusing sometimes for law enforcement. It's confusing for employers who are hiring people with different immigration statuses, and it's confusing for the immigrants themselves.
Now, the bill was filed earlier this week, and that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we've got problems ongoing here in Nashville, 65 northbound after Rosa Parks Boulevard. You've got a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. Then Berry Hill, 65 northbound right there at Armory Drive. Near Belmont, 65 northbound at Wedgwood Avenue. Crashes there reported by police. And the 65 northbound on-ramp from McEwen Drive is still blocked in Franklin. They're still cleaning up a crash involving an overturned semi that actually damaged the interstate there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, there's a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for just about everything. But, you know, not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. When you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, maybe you should get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, check in with Eurofix. It could save you a ton of money. At Eurofix, you'll get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. At Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices. Now located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEuroFix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
There it is. That festive music means it's time for the Three Amigos to gather. Amigo number one in the newsroom closet, as we call it, the bearded wonder. You know him, you love him. You cannot live without him. The one, the only, Ken Weaver, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, boys. Yes.
And they're over in the control room pushing the blinky buttons, as he always does. You also can't live without him. Chris Weber.
Hello. And I see right away that I missed the plaid shirt memo. I do apologize,
that's right.
boys.
Ken and I are in plaid shirts today.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you should check your email before you come to work, not after. So there's that. And there's then I am amigo number three, and the idea is that, we start off with, we have these funny stories or weird stories or strange stories, and then we talk about them, and sometimes we get through all three. Sometimes we get through one. Sometimes we get diverted into other topics.
Yeah, we never even get started.
We never even, it's like you can never predict what's going to happen on the Three Amigos. So who wants to go first today?
I'm going to have to let you guys, because I don't know if I can go on the air with the story.
Really? Well, now you got to.
All right.
All right. Come on. Don't be shy. But everybody, is this something that young people should not be hearing?
Yeah, it probably is. It probably pertains to more young people than it does older people.
Okay, well, hit us with it.
But CNN went out and interviewed a bunch of doctors about how long we should sit on the porcelain throne
I saw this.
before it gets problematic.
Okay.
And basically, they're saying that you need to leave your devices behind when you head to the bathroom, because
you can spend a lot of time there if you get going down the rabbit hole on the internet, or
Exactly. And they're saying that you need to limit your time on the porcelain throne to no more than 10 minutes. A 3-minute trip to the loo, one doctor says, can easily turn into 15 minutes of reading, scrolling, and posting. It might seem harmless to pass the time away this way, but it has been connected to an increased risk of hemorrhoids and even weakened pelvic muscles. One doctor says it is one of the first questions he actually starts asking his patients who come in with these problems. How much time are you spending on the toilet? Because apparently more and more people are doing it, and it's leading to these problems. One of the reasons is, and one of the main culprits is the oval-shaped toilet, because it apparently compresses your rear end and it affects blood circulation. So blood is basically pooling in places that it shouldn't be, and it's causing some issues. So their advice is leave the phone or any other electronic device behind if you think you are going to stay in there for longer than you should.
Well, I don't think you should. Do we all do it? Yes. Should we really be carrying our phone into one of the nastiest parts of your house?
That's another thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never think about that, but yeah. I'm definitely guilty of this.
Yeah,
I find myself where I'm through doing my business, and yet I'm still just scrolling away.
Right.
I don't know why. I get comfortable, I guess. You know what I think it is, though? This is part of it. Peace and quiet.
Yeah.
You get a little privacy and a little peace and quiet in there.
That is true. Yeah. And nobody bothers you
unless
there.
you have a French bulldog.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't speak to that, but you can.
So anyway, that's some good advice.
I saw that story the other day. I thought, well, it is good advice, and maybe we ought to just leave the phone in a more sanitary environment. Come back to it.
Right.
You definitely won't spend as much time there if you don't have your phone.
I think you're right.
I guarantee
That's
that.
an interesting point. Yeah. All right. So, Chris, do you want to go or you want me to go? Mine's short.
All right. Well, you can go. I'll finish up because I can make mine a little shorter if I need to.
You often talk, there's no man in the world who has a greater affection for a good donut than I.
That's true.
I love me a good donut.
Ooh, big old donuts.
And, when I was back home, the first thing I did went to my favorite donut shop. And they were still just as good as they were when I was a kid.
All right.
Yeah. So I love a donut. And we often talk about how cops love donuts. Right.
I've heard that before.
I saw a video. The guy, he thought it'd be funny to go out and sort of troll the cop that was parked out in front of his house. So he got a fishing pole and put a donut in a baggie and attached it. And the cop said, "I can't eat chocolate." He gets on his PA system in the car and says, "I can't eat chocolate."
At least he had a good sense of humor. Yeah.
But here you go. Listen to this. Out of Nashville, actually it's Mount Juliet, a stolen donut at a Walmart led to a fentanyl arrest, according to the Mount Juliet Police Department. This according to WSMV. Yeah, criminals are not the brightest people.
No, sir.
When responding to a call about a suspicious man at Walmart stealing a donut, officers learned that the 44-year-old Nashville man had a substantial amount of suspected fentanyl and methamphetamines on him.
Wow.
The Mount Juliet Police Department said with the help of Walmart staff, they were able to safely take the suspect into custody. The man was booked into the Wilson County Jail. The arrest is a reminder of how theft calls can lead to other crimes where dangerous drugs are located and removed from our community, said the Mount Juliet Police Department. Thanks to our vigilant team and partners at Walmart for helping us keep Mount Juliet safe. But, how stupid do you have to be? I assume that they got him as they went back to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they if you steal something, they wait till you get to the car, right?
Yep.
And so, I guess the alert, cunning, and sly people doing security at Walmart saw this guy steal a donut and then decided to follow him. And then the next thing you know, the police are called. And, what could have been like? Are you going to press charges over a donut? No, but what's that in your car?
Yeah.
I've said this many times, break one law at a time. Come on, people.
If you're going to break a law, just break one at a time. That's right.
If you're going to steal a donut, leave the drugs at home.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Who knows? Yeah. Maybe that saved somebody's life. What if this guy was to get back out on the road and kill somebody because he's in a fentanyl or meth fog.
Or he was going to sell it to someone.
Yeah, I think this has got the way they talk about it. It was a substantial amount, is what they say.
Distribution.
Interesting.
So he's probably into maybe into distribution. I don't know. I don't have his name, so I haven't libeled him in any way. But one way or the other, that's pretty dumb. But the other thing I think about is, how serious are they about stealing donuts at Walmart?
Yeah, I thought about. I have to imagine it probably wasn't the first time they suspected him of stealing something from that particular store.
They were chasing him out.
Yeah, they probably knew this guy.
Seen
Here
this
comes
guy
this
before.
guy
He
again.
comes in and steals a donut every day.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Yeah. All right.
And then the cops apparently were rewarded with a dozen donuts.
Oh, nice.
No, I don't know that. I just made that part up.
I'd like to think that it's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your help, officer. Here, please take a dozen donuts.
All right, we'll wrap it up with this one. Speaking of dumb criminals, I got this one from ABC News, and I saw this on the news, so it's floating out there today. 4 individuals in California were arrested for allegedly attempting to defraud their insurance company by claiming that a bear had damaged their vehicles, when it was actually just a person in a bear costume attacking the cars. They were all L.A. area residents, and they were charged with conspiracy and insurance fraud. Suspects claimed that on January 28th, a bear entered a 2010 Rolls-Royce Ghost, not in a cheap car, and caused interior damage, according to the Department of Insurance. They provided video footage of the incident, which stated that it had occurred during their visit to some lake. Upon reviewing the footage, the Department of Insurance suspected it was fraud, and they believed right away that the bear in question was actually just a person in bear costume. So they initiated an investigation, and I love this, named Operation Bear Claw. They learned that
which is pretty good if you can't get a donut. Get a bear claw.
It never fails, yeah. So the department learned that 2 other claims had been filed to different insurance companies with similar details, the same location, same date, and also similar to the claim that originally drew the unit's attention. The other 2 reports stated that a bear had attacked their cars. This was a 2015 Mercedes and a 2022 Mercedes, and each of the 2 claims submitted video footage as part of their evidence. In both those videos, the department said it believed they were looking at the same bear costume. However, the department said that they sought an outside opinion on the case before making a final determination. So investigators reached out to a biologist from the Cal Department of Wildlife, who then independently reviewed the evidence for Operation Bear Claw. The biologist stated, quote, "It was clearly a human in a bear suit." And I have seen this video footage, and it's just like, your security camera footage outside, in the driveway or whatever. It's obviously, this is it doesn't move like a bear. It moves like a person. You can see the fur and kind of the head of the bear, but it's obviously a human in a bear costume. So authorities were then able to execute a search warrant on the people involved for the insurance scheme, and they confirmed that a bear costume was found in one of the suspects' homes.
There you go.
And so they have been arrested and charged again with insurance fraud.
Wow.
At least get rid of the stupid bear. You know what? They were going to do it again, though. That's why they didn't get rid of the costume.
What morons.
Just hit up a bunch of different insurance companies.
And if only they hadn't submitted the video evidence, they might have gotten away with it.
So I'm thinking this guy looked like maybe like a high school football team mascot or something in the costume.
It was kind of a halfway convincing looking bear costume.
Yeah,
as far as those things go.
I'm thinking like, the days of Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Bear.
It wasn't like Yogi or anything like that. It actually did kind of look like a bear. But, they need to work on their bear moves because they weren't convincing anybody.
An unbearable crime. All right. I know. I can't bear this any longer. 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Have you heard about this item that Costco runs out of all the time? The gold bars. They can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but it also means that it's outperforming other assets, in some cases like stock and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. You know where you can get gold when Costco doesn't have any more? Well, you can always get it from my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. And better than that, they will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line personalized customer service. Nashville Gold and Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold and Coin. That's and just go to their website, NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And a noted public health critic has been picked to head the nation's health. Here's Mary Bruce.
President-elect Donald Trump delivering on a promise he made to one of his top campaign supporters, announcing he's nominating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be Secretary of Health and Human Services, putting a noted vaccine skeptic in charge of the nation's health system.
I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines.
Well before the election, Kennedy made it clear Trump had promised him this role.
Right now in Nashville, a man is charged after his girlfriend claims she found videos she did not consent to on his computer. They were hidden camera recordings of them having sex. Metro Police say 31-year-old Matthew Vollmer is charged with 8 counts of unlawful photography involving 4 female victims. They range in age from 26 to 33. In April, Special Victims Division detectives started investigating after a woman Vollmer was dating claimed she had accessed his computer while he was out of town and that she found a file folder containing videos of them. She says she didn't consent to any recordings. She says she was unaware of a video camera, which she found disguised as an alarm clock. Upon further investigation, police say they discovered 3 other victims. Vollmer is free on $40,000 bond. Elsewhere in Nashville, state officials say major changes are needed soon to keep Tennessee State University solvent. In fact, the school today laid off 114 employees. Comptroller Jason Mumpower told today's State Building Commission hearing the state recently stepped in to help TSU make payroll this month, and he had this to say to the current president.
The previous president and administration and the previous board of trustees operated this university in such a way as literally you were out of money. Previous administration and trustees have driven this university to a breaking point, and it is up to you to reorganize, reorient, and lead a rebirth of this university.
Yeah, he says current TSU President Ronald Johnson needs to cut academic programs that do not have significant enrollment, reduce the workforce, which happened today. And he also told President Johnson to sell the school's Avon property downtown for what could be up to a $50 million value for the university. Right now in Nashville, Channel 4's Dryden Quigley reports the parents of Belmont University student Julian Ludwig have filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit alleging a series of failures on the part of many, including a Metro police officer, the Housing Authority, and Belmont University.
The case alleges that the school did not warn students about the high-crime neighborhood where Julian went on a run that day, while it did warn students about other, less dangerous areas. It accuses an unnamed police officer of not properly searching the area after they were called there for gunshots. They said if they did, they would have easily seen Julian lying in a very visible area of the park. Instead, she was found more than an hour after she was shot by someone walking by. Those minutes lying there, they say, reduced her chance of survival and increased the pain she went through. Other defendants include those who evaluated the mental well-being of the accused shooter, Shaquille Taylor, and the system that allowed him to walk free after his first crimes.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, 40 eastbound is especially bumper to bumper on the South Loop downtown. So is northbound 65 to get to the South Loop. I-24 eastbound is the usual brake tapping all the way down to Bell Road. Looking here down in Franklin, looks like we've got an issue on 65 northbound, a disabled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. And it looks like they have actually cleared a disabled vehicle on 24 westbound in Smyrna, so that should be getting back up to speed shortly. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good evening, everyone. 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock, hour number 4 of the drive on this 14th day of November. And it is a November to remember because a lot of things are happening here today. We do have, Phil, I'm sorry, we got this, from Doug Collins, not Phil Collins. He was.
That's Genesis. Yeah.
There's something in the air tonight. That's right. No, Doug Collins, the former congressman, will be the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, if confirmed by the Congress. The big one today, beyond that, was RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I keep going down the wrong thing on that. HHS, Health and Human Services. Those announcements made today out of Mar-a-Lago, which usually they come in threes. I don't know. We got one more in us. Maybe we'll have one more before we get out of here tonight. But one way or the other, those are the big announcements here today. A lot of talk about Matt Gaetz, and I'll talk more about that later in this hour. I want to talk a little bit about Pete Hegseth, who is a friend of this program and someone that, you and I have gotten to know because he used to come on every Wednesday. I have a feeling that he won't be coming on anymore. But one way or the other, he's been chosen to be the Secretary of Defense. And that's going to be an interesting choice. Now, look, I think he's qualified. Immensely qualified. He is a Harvard graduate, Princeton, Harvard. He has spent time in the military. He's an Army combat veteran, 2 Bronze Stars, did tours in Guantanamo Bay, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And he has written a book. It's a New York Times bestseller, but that may be the problem. You see, the Democrats are going to start pulling quotes out of that book, and they're going to use that in his confirmation hearing. He's not big on women in combat. He is not a big fan of that. He is absolutely 1,000% prepared to go in there and disassemble any DEI structures that now exist within the Department of Defense. And I think, from I know he believes it because I've talked to him about it. He believes very strongly that we have lost our way at the Pentagon. That the Biden administration wanted DEI, and that became the mission instead of the primary mission of the Department of Defense, which is to make sure that we are ready to wage war and that this country is safe. That's the mission. Return to mission ought to be his goal. And so, I am 1,000% in favor of Pete Hegseth. Make there be no doubt about that. He is getting some blowback, but that's okay. But I think he can get confirmed. It says here in this story in the Tennessean did a take on this because, he lives here in Middle Tennessee, up in Sumner County. Compared to Secretary Lloyd Austin and former Secretary James Mattis, who hold experience as high-ranking officers in senior command positions, Hegseth lacks senior military or national security experience. Now, I don't care. Is he a smart man? Yeah, he can learn. Hegseth and his wife, Jenny, who appear to be Tennessee volunteer fans, live in Middle Tennessee, have 7 children. He moved to Sumner County, just outside of Nashville, approximately 2 years ago, and in 2023, hosted the 5th annual Fox Nation Patriot Awards at the Grand Ole Opry. 44 years old, mostly known from his 8 years on Fox News. I mean, that's where he became known to America. He describes himself as a husband, father, patriot, and Christian. Hegseth led veterans advocacy groups, and in 2012 briefly ran for the U.S. Senate in Minnesota as a Republican, where you can't do any good. He has also written or co-written 5 books, and they've all, I think the last one for sure was a New York Times bestseller. He has criticized the role of women in combat and military DEI efforts. And that's all true. Everybody's doing it. Well, what's the background on this guy? What's the background on this guy? Here's a story from thehill.com. Wow, said Lisa Murkowski again. You know, here we go. Replied when she asked about the freshly announced choice, I'm just surprised because the names I've heard for Secretary of Defense have not included him. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton called Hegseth's selection a loyalty choice, but said he didn't know him well enough to say whether he would sign off on Trump's oft-repeated campaign threats to use U.S. troops against Americans. Oh, please. Oh, please. I think he's a great loyalty choice. I think that's what Trump is after. So there you go. But again, Bolton, what do we care about him? Here's the story that I wanted to get to, again from The Hill. President-elect Trump is forging ahead with a dramatic shakeup of the military with fears of a purge of woke generals fueled by his nomination this week of Fox News host Pete Hegseth to lead the Defense Department. Trump is considering a draft executive order to create a warrior board of retired senior military officers who would review 3- and 4-star officers for dismissal, allowing a fast track to reshape the military command structure, this according to the Wall Street Journal. The plan has sparked concerns across the national security and defense establishment. That's right. If you're in the establishment in Washington, D.C., you better be concerned right now, pal. Especially after Trump selected Hegseth, who has espoused far-right views about rolling back woke policies in the armed forces and rooting out military leaders who implemented the change. Well, first of all, you've got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Hegseth said on the Sean Ryan show. Podcast last week. Any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever was involved in any of the DEI woke stuff, I'll clean that up, it's got to go, he said, using an abbreviation for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Either you're in for war fighting and that's it. That's the only litmus test we care about. Now, while on the campaign trail, Trump often explicitly mentioned that he wants to go after woke generals in the military. We have a military that's not woke. You may have a few people on the top that are woke and are going to get rid of them so damn fast your head is going to explode, Trump said in a town hall in North Carolina. A professor emeritus at the University of North Carolina, Richard Cohn, an expert on civil-military relations, said Trump was sending a signal to the officer corps that you better toe the line politically and demonstrate your loyalty to this president. No. He just wants generals who do what generals are supposed to do. Prepare for war. Protect the interest of this country. And I think we've lost sight of that. I mean, I really worry right now. I worry a lot about whether or not we have a military that can meet the demands of a war on 2 fronts, which is what we really have to be prepared for. Because, it could be that we'll have to go against the Russians, and the Chinese at the same time. And, are we prepared for that? I think that our military is weakened. It has been weakened by a structure that was looking to promote people who perhaps were not qualified otherwise, but got big jumps in stature because of they filled a quota. And what I really want is a military, and I think Pete Hegseth is right on this. I want a military that is prepared to fight, and that ought to be the only thing that they are prepared to do. That we don't need the other stuff. We need somebody who's prepared to go out and defend this nation and to make our military prepared, the strongest fighting machine on the world. The way you keep everybody else at bay, the way you keep China at bay, the way you keep Russia at bay is to be the strongest military in the world. And we have some real advances and advantages over the Chinese and the Russians. And one suspects some stuff in development that will keep us ahead of the curve. Let's focus on the mission of the military. Be prepared to fight. We want a military that is bristling from the teeth with weaponry and expertise and experience. And if you're more interested in, DEI than figuring out ways for the enemy to DIE, then I'm not sure that you're the guy for the job or the person for the job. So I am, again, let's go. Pete, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, okay, look, here's this thing in the Senate, 53 Republican votes. You got a couple of weak individuals who clutch their pearls anytime, anything, different or unusual comes up. Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. That leaves you with 51, right? You could lose one more and then have J.D. Vance come in and break the tie. 50-50, J.D. Vance breaks the tie. So we can only afford to lose 3 votes in the United States Senate. Can he get through? I think he's going to have one hell of a confirmation hearing. The Democrats are going to be loaded for bear. They're going to come at him with everything he's got. But you know what? If there is one individual in this country who I have the confidence can stand in that well and deliver and put those Democrats in their place, then it's Pete Hegseth. And I am really excited about getting into that morass that is the Pentagon and start cleaning up the mess. The first time that Trump was elected, he was, we're going to go in there and clean up the swamp. And I don't know how effective he was. He made some improvements, it certainly, but I don't think we went far enough. This time around, I think he's playing it real serious. This is essentially what you probably would have had in a second Trump administration. If there had been one. There will be one, but I mean, if there had been one that followed the first. Because, he can't run for re-election again. And if he has to, break a few eggs to make an omelet, okay, so be it. There'll be some broken eggshells laying around. But it's not what's happening in Washington, whether it's at the Pentagon or whether it's at the Department of Justice or whether it's at the Department of Homeland Security, and you just go right down the list. The Department of State, and when we used to call the Department of State in Washington the fudge factory, because they never give you a straight answer on anything. Whatever it is, it needs to be torn apart and reassembled and make sure that you have your eye on what the proper mission of each of these agencies is. And then let Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy come in there and just start, going through agencies line by line. Hey, and, we're not going to be spending money on stupid research anymore. We're not going to be, wasting government money. And if you can't, this is what in the business world they call a line item budget. You know what a line item budget is? Is that they basically, you had a budget last year and it got approved and this is what we worked off of. A line item budget is we go through every single line of the budget and you got to defend it. And if you can't defend it, it's out. You have to make a new case for every single dollar that you spend. People say, well, it's too big. Well, I mean, look, if anybody can tackle this problem, it's a complex problem. It's Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. I have a great deal of confidence in that. And he's going to need willing partners. And I think that Pete Hegseth will be a great one. It is 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. We have big news from DT McCall. If you've been thinking about buying a gun safe but putting it off, now is the time. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season. Be sure you're keeping your guns safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall. DT McCall is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. Why? Free delivery and setup. Others charge $500 at least for delivery and setup of the big models, $300 for the smaller models. DT McCall & Son delivers every safe free every time, period. Never a setup charge. Security is important these days, and a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall can be used for valuables, cash, jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire. So save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Just go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Really haven't made a bunch about it, but, we do have now the Associated Press officially saying, for the record, that indeed the House will be in control of Republicans. California Democrat Representative Josh Harder reelected. But what it stands at is it's 219 to 212. And apparently there are 4 races left to call. That is the general sense of it all. So there've been the confusion, and people say, well, why is it that some people have said that the House is under control and the other people have not made that call yet? Well, it's because a lot of people in the news business follow the lead of the Associated Press, and they've been really dragging their feet on making this announcement, but they finally came around and said, yes, there are 218 votes for Republicans, and they will control the House. It's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight, but nonetheless, that is where we are. And so what that means is, think about it. How great is this for our side? Hooray, hooray! We should pull out the happy organ for that. We really have. So think about it for a moment.
That's a song, by the way, just to clarify.
Yeah, this. That's right. I'm not going to even dignify that with an
Moving on.
Moving on. We got the Senate, we got the House, we got the White House. Now, there's the big 3. Supreme Court, 6-3 conservative majority. The majority of governors in the country are Republican governors. I'm telling you, this is a red letter time for conservatives, a time to celebrate. Yeah, with the happy organ. We're in control. It's the Trifecta. Oh, I forgot. This is longer than I remembered. Haven't played it in a while. Celebration, everybody. Big finish. All right, you got the trifecta. What happens now? The Epoch Times. With Republicans projected to retain control of the U.S. House, the U.S. Senate, the GOP has won a trifecta in the federal government for the first time since 2016. We did everything possible to ensure we could come into this moment, said House Speaker Mike Johnson during a November 12th press conference in which he declared Republicans victorious. It's a new day in Washington. It's morning in America. Let's see. Although Trump has also had a trifecta in 2016, his party was more divided at the time. Just before that election, Republican leaders such as House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell were openly critical of Trump. This time, the party is far more united behind the man who has ruled Republican politics for nearly a decade, although Trump will still likely face challenges from some members of his party in both chambers. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said on November 12th that Trump wouldn't have to fight members of his own party this time. The American people are hungry for change. They're going to find a Republican leader willing to work with them so that they don't have to struggle any longer. So there you have it. We can get them things done if only Republicans don't fight and squabble among themselves. I mean, we've seen the Democrats do it. There's an old saying, I'm not a member of any organized party, I'm a Democrat. Sometimes the same thing can be said of Republicans. We have to come up with a plan. We need to attack the plan. We need to set some things right that have been set wrong for a very long time, and then just put our head down and do the hard work. And hopefully, that's what will happen. Let's call it 30 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Time for the news. Hey, Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatments for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. You see, chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S., and chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of all adults over the age of 65. But you don't need to let chronic pain control your life. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatments can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, and everything in between. They put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs. Let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. My friends Carly and Jamie will take good care of you like you're part of the family. Say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life. And do not let chronic pain control your life. "37 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Of course, the big topic, I think, really the big number one topic, has tongues wagging. Blah, 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 blah. They're wagging all over Washington. That was gross.
Well, that's not good.
I know. But they are wagging is about the nomination of Matt Gaetz to be the next Attorney General. Now, look, a lot can be said, and I think he should have his chance to go before the Senate, and it's going to be one humdinger of a confirmation hearing, but that's okay. Senator Hagerty was over on Andrea Mitchell's show on MSNBC. And he made a very strong defense of Matt Gaetz and of the nominations that have come out of Mar-a-Lago. But, you know, it was a pretty good back and forth. And so this actually is about a 7-minute piece of sound that I think is worth hearing all of, because not only do we get into that, there have been some talk about Hagerty being perhaps nominated for a position within the Trump administration, and he was asked about that as well. So even though this is Andrea Mitchell, and not one of my favorite people, but nonetheless, it is Hagerty, and here is Senator Hagerty with Andrea Mitchell talking about the Gaetz nomination and other things, pretty entertaining back and forth.
So what is your reaction to Matt Gaetz as Attorney General? Right now, would you support him?
Listen, Andrea, it's amazing to me that people are reacting the way they are, what you just showed, because there has been no one better at channeling the American public's frustration with the weaponization of the Department of Justice than Matt Gaetz. You can understand the president's frustration with the DOJ. During his first campaign, they used a fake Clinton dossier to spy on him. Look at what happened in the first Trump administration. This whole fake Russiagate hoax, the DOJ investigated him for years doing that. In 2020, the DOJ went to big tech and had them censor Hunter Biden's laptop to throw the election toward Joe Biden. And if you think about what just happened in 2024, the DOJ, their colleagues around the country, they brought 5 different cases to try President Biden's top opponent, President Trump. I can understand his frustration in wanting to put an agent of change in place. I'm not surprised at all.
Well, I don't want to litigate all that happened with Donald Trump, because there's a lot of evidence to support many of the allegations. And in fact, the indictments, Mar-a-Lago, the sloppy intelligence handling.
Andrew, I think the American public spoke louder than anybody. They gave him the strongest mandate we've seen in 36 years in reaction to all of this.
But a Trump-appointed judge cut all of that off, and it wasn't fully vetted. So let's just talk about that. Was the legal system at work, no question. And
it was not working. It was weaponized.
Well, what about this nominee?
As I said, this nominee has actually been an outspoken
has a record
critic.
himself, but he's been an outspoken critic. But what about his personal record? There are questions about him. He was on the House floor sharing photos of women, bragging about his sexual exploits, about the medication that he used, the drugs that he used. The ethics investigation has not been released yet. It's been cut off. It was supposed to be voted on tomorrow, but his resignation has aborted that. But what about all of the questions and the the allegations against him, his co-conspirator and his friend is serving an 11-year jail term for the sex trafficking. I mean, there was plenty to investigate there.
Andrea, you said it yourself, these are allegations. It's amazing that you're more upset about allegations than you are about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. The American public has completely lost faith in the DOJ. Think about it. The DOJ sending their agents to spy on the parents who go to, the school board meetings. It's just amazing. As the American public has seen all of this, they see somebody like Matt Gaetz who's willing to stand up and call it wrong, and President Trump's willing to put somebody in place that will change all of this. That's what the American public voted for.
This is the same Justice Department that indicted and prosecuted Hunter Biden.
Well, if you think about what this Justice Department did in 2020, they reached out and got big tech to censor that Hunter Biden laptop. This is the letter that was put together by Antony Blinken, by the way. You think about the political dirty tricks that have gone on with the Biden administration. Antony Blinken got 51 so-called intelligence experts to sign a letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, and the DOJ cooperated with them to go out and basically pre-broker a deal with big tech to censor the laptop. They threw the election toward Joe Biden as a result of that. This DOJ has got huge problems that needs to be cleaned up.
There's a lot of evidence and reporting to contradict that. Let me ask you about reports from our team that J.D. Vance, the Vice President-elect, and Matt Gaetz have both been working the phones to get a read on what his chances are of getting confirmed. Have you received a call?
I have not received a call because I think they know there's no problem with me. I want to see President Trump's cabinet appointed quickly. Look, I went through the process of being jammed up by the Democrats when I went through confirmation. I turned my paperwork in on the 21st of January, 2017. I didn't get through the process until late July. An important post. We couldn't fill it because of obstruction. We need to allow President Trump, particularly in this circumstance when the American public has spoken so clearly, we need to allow him to fill his cabinet and get to work, bringing our departments of justice and other departments back in line to stop the weaponization and take control from the bureaucracy and bring it back to the people.
Now, you've run a lot of, you're a former businessman. You've been the ambassador to one of our major allies. You were an experienced ambassador who knows Japanese, had worked in Japan. There was no controversy over that appointment. What do you think?
And I got 86 votes, but I was held up for months because an obstructionist Democrat Senate wanted to do that. I think President Trump needs every tool at his disposal to get his cabinet appointed as quickly as possible.
Let me ask you about two other choices. Pete Hegseth, who is a Fox News commentator. He's a decorated Iraq and Afghanistan combat veteran, but he's never run an $800 billion operation overseeing 1.3 million active duty service members. Does he have the management experience from being a Fox News anchor on weekends to run something as important as the Pentagon in the midst of two wars?
Pete is a graduate of Princeton, a graduate of Harvard. He's my constituent in Tennessee. He's an inspirational leader. If you think about some of the people that we have, look at Lloyd Austin right now, refusing to hold anybody to account for what happened in Afghanistan. The Department of Defense has been enormously mismanaged under the current regime. It needs to change dramatically. They need to stop working on pronouns and get back to lethality, and someone like Pete can lead that.
And do you agree that women should not be in combat? Including people like
I don't have to agree with every
colleague,
point that Pete says.
Tammy Duckworth, for instance, was a jet pilot and, of course, suffered grievously. So
I work with
we
her,
have a
as I
lot of
said.
women pilots in combat.
I have voted for certain Biden appointees. I don't agree with them on every point, certainly not every point at all. But they need to have a chance to be heard. They need to have a chance to serve.
Now, I think you took yourself out of contention for Secretary of State, for which you had been supposedly considered.
Andrew, I never put myself in. I never put myself into contention.
Okay.
This is just speculation.
Let me
Let
me ask you about Secretary of Treasury, because that is a job not yet filled, and arguably you have a lot of experience in that regard.
Again, Andrea, I've avoided speculation in this regard. President Trump is going to make these decisions, and they're going to be very personal to him. He's going to put a team around him that he's comfortable with, that he'll work well with. In whatever role I have, I'm going to be here to try to move the agenda forward and respond to the mandate that the American public delivered last week.
But you certainly would not rule out wanting to be in the cabinet.
Again, I've never speculated that I wanted to be in or out of the cabinet, and I've avoided that, and I'll continue to do so. I've had a great career in business, as you mentioned. It was my honor to serve as our U.S. ambassador to Japan in President Trump's previous administration to represent this great nation, and there's no greater honor than I have right now than to represent the people of Tennessee in the United States Senate.
There you go. That's Bill Haggerty and going round and round, as they say, with Andrea Mitchell, one of my least favorite people in all of Washington. But anyway, I thought he handled himself quite well and made a very strong defense of Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz and everybody else there. And look, let the process work out, see how it goes. And it's interesting that J.D. Vance is apparently working the phones on the Matt Gaetz matter, trying to find out where the votes are, if that is indeed true. So in the time that I have left, a couple of stories that I wish I had time to go into a little earlier, but I didn't. A lot of stuff going on today. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has told Governor Bill Lee that the expanding Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua now present in all of Tennessee's major cities. Well, we have a major city. We're right in a major. We're in the majorest of the major Tennessee cities. And warned that the group is engaged in human trafficking, organized retail theft, and drug trafficking nationwide. On Wednesday, according to the Tennessee Star, TBI Communications Director Josh Devine confirmed that the Bureau has increased concerns about the potential for crime connected to Tren de Aragua, a prominent, violent Venezuelan transnational gang. Devine told the Star that the first crime TBI Identify established is connected to Tren de Aragua was a human trafficking case in 2023 and explained is currently most engaged in human trafficking within Tennessee. At this time, intelligence suggests the gang is predominantly still involved in fostering human trafficking in Tennessee, but the known track record of the gang's involvement in theft and drug crimes elsewhere continues to inform our concerted efforts to better understand and more consistently identify Tennessee crimes that might be connected to TDA. The remarks come after TBI Director David Roush told Lee on Tuesday that this transnational gang typically establishes a presence in a specific region by trafficking abducted people from Venezuela to the United States, where the gang then presses its victims into groups that commit organized retail theft, targeting American businesses before establishing a drug trade. TBI on it, Governor Lee, well informed. I just want to make note very quickly as my time is running down, a story on Channel 5's website. TBI searches the home of a former Metro Nashville Police Department lieutenant, linked to the Covenant Writings leak, and he talks about this. I just want to point out, this is being reported as if it is new news. This is the second report that I've seen in other media here in Nashville. We reported this on my show more than a month ago, at least a month ago. And so there you have it. Again, it's all part of the Covenant, the leaked writing investigation being conducted. TBI apparently doing the dirty work of the Metro Nashville Police Department, conducting raids on this guy by the name of Garrett Davidson, who has been on our show and other shows as well. Talking about problems he saw within the police department. So understand this: the police department basically is under investigation right now. He laid out a bunch of different allegations. This guy was in charge of what is essentially the internal affairs division of Metro Nashville Police Department for a while, and he wrote a scathing report, and now he is under investigation apparently. 50 minutes past the hour. Genesis Diamond's biggest and last store-wide sale of the year is November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. It is an extraordinary event with savings of up to 20, 25, even 35% store-wide. This is the event that people wait for all year long. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing held back for this once-a-year sale. Proclaimed designers from New York and California will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. It's like the biggest jewelry trunk show you've ever seen times 10. Check out all the new collections, the latest styles in both fashion and bridal jewelry. Plus, get 0% interest financing so you can spread your payments out. Don't miss this year's best jewelry event, the one where they break all the rules. And yes, Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Check out their hard-to-find Rolex models and get special pricing for the event. Lab-grown diamonds also included. It is the final store-wide sale for the year with discounts of up to 35%. Genesis Diamonds, 3 days only, November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, only at Genesis Diamonds, my jewelry store, Green Hills and Cool Springs.